Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Apollonia Ponti. I'm a dating, relationship, and life coach for men. And in this style video, I'm doing something a little bit differently because I wanted to share my thoughts on something that was so pressing for me. And also the community asked me to do a video about this and really wanted to know my thoughts, as I understand I would too. And if this is your first time visiting me, I welcome you. I say hello to you. I welcome you to click that subscribe button, please, and join this amazing community of men that I have in this YouTube channel. So obviously, the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case has been on the forefront of every news channel. And now that a verdict has been reached, I wanted to discuss this. And I think it was extremely, extremely important. But first of all, let's just give a kudos for everything that is happening for men right now. I feel like this has been a revolutionary change for men and brought so much awareness of what men go through. So first of all, a moment of silence for all those men that have struggled with abuse in their relationships. One of the biggest things that I've noticed is men struggle with abuse in relationships so much more than a lot of people think. The only thing is they're not as open about it. And that's why this case to me was so important. And this is also too why my practice is so important, because I'm a very big advocate for mental health. I do think that, there are plenty of men out there that have also been triggered by following this case. And also there have been plenty of men that have followed this case that have been so much more aware. And it also made other men that have suffered from abuse really step into owning what they've been through and maybe even come forward and talking about it with other men. I think this is something that needed to happen in the men's community a long time ago. And unfortunately, with another movement for women that has happened years ago, I think it overcompensated. Now, I'm not a person that's really big on movements because I see a good side to it, but I also see dark sides to movements as well. And so when this happens, it's a really non-beneficial thing, I think, for everybody because it causes separation and divide. And I think that this world needs more men and women to come together instead of dividing. And so I think if we can understand the bad from the good without seeing men and women as dividing and just understanding if it's bad or good, no matter if it's man or woman, is how we can come together. And so the reason why I start with this is because I think more than ever now, men have support, and I see that men are getting more support. And that's why I encourage so many other women and great men to step into the space to help other men. But I also know that there's things that I've learned in this case too, following this. And that's why it's so important that I continue this practice and I help you guys. But what I've noticed in this is a couple things in this case is, number one, I want to first start with two of the most important things first that I want you to listen to is, more than ever, this is an opportunity for so many men to be careful with the women they date. Basically, everything I preach, having standards for the women that you date. Growing up as a woman, I always heard, make sure, Apollonia, you find a good man. Make sure he treats you well. Make sure he treats his family well. He comes from a good home. He makes money. He does this. He does this. He does this. A whole checklist. I think 9 out of 10 women, or probably 10 out of 10, could tell you that they have heard that growing up. But how many men growing up have heard that? How many men have heard, make sure you choose a good woman. Make sure she treats you well. Make sure she has a great career. Make sure she has a great headspace. Make sure she understands how to respect herself and others, right? So how many times do men hear this? They don't hear it often. I mean, I remember asking 30 men that same question, and only one man raised his hand because he has been through a situation in his life with his father, and his father ended up telling him that when he was younger. That was the only reason. How horrible is that? Think about it. And so in this channel, why I'm so intentional about teaching men how to choose a good woman and how to better align with their approach is because many men go out in this dating world to get validation through sex or a pretty girl on their arm or get the girl, but yet whatever happened to getting the guy, right? So here's the thing too, is like, you have to be very aware consciously of the women that you're dating. So don't just jump in because she has a pretty face. Don't just jump into relationships because she's love bombing you and the sex is amazing, which so many men that I see do. And this is giving you a better opportunity to understand too that you are empowered to choose better women, and you have to have standards for the women that you date and not just jump in, because dating is an assessment process. And you as a man now are capable more than ever to choose a woman and a woman to choose you. It's not just about the woman choosing you only. And so I think we have to understand that this is one of the biggest takeaways, is dating intentionally and understanding the right questions to ask a woman, looking at how she shows up, looking at her belief system, the way she communicates, the way her friendships are, and so much more, and analyzing this before you just jump into a relationship or even a marriage with a woman. Number two is one of the biggest things that I've learned through all this too, and just watching it, is I definitely saw how great I think Johnny Depp handled this. Now, this is not to negate that he has a lot to probably overcome after this case, meaning a lot of therapy to go through. But here's the thing, how I say, like, relationships teach us lessons. I can guarantee this is one of his biggest lessons, right? And now he's probably getting a lot of support through this. But also, if you look at Johnny Depp's history, and this is where we go back, and I go back into how trauma is so related to dating and relationships, is, he obviously every child loves their mother, but he came from abuse in this household. And I don't know exactly the logistics. I'm not going to go into that because he deserves that respect to not have people go into that. But what I do know is the things that you will find that he's openly discussed about his upbringing and his mother are also trauma effects to this. And so sometimes when we don't heal from our trauma, we can also cope through alcoholism and drug addictions, and we become addictions. And those addictions also will get us into these trauma bonding experiences and choose a woman that probably is an abuser. So you see how a trauma bond can also reflect into your relationships and also not and disempower you in some ways or another, but also empower you now, because now, even though he went through this, this is why it's so important to understand there's no mistakes, only lessons. Because if I was a coach and saying, oh, Johnny Depp, he made a mistake and he did this because he should have got help by blah, 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 blah. No, this was a lesson for the whole world. I believe that he was meant to be, like, out of all people, Johnny Depp, think about it. Johnny Depp, out of all people, one of the most attractive actors, one of the most greatest actors, went through this on the face of everybody watching this, because this is how he was chosen to be so impactful, right? He impacted so many men in this community to step up. There were so many. So he also unfortunately had to go through this experience, but it also helped so many other men. So if he never went through this, how many other men would have just continued to silence their voice and had never been a video made like this or to help other men, right? And so that's why I always say there's never mistakes. There's lessons in dating. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned through this is therapy and coaching is so significant for you to heal and to choose better when it comes to your dating and relationships, because trauma comes into relationships many times. And to get support and also to really understand that you have a desire to become better and always lead by that desire. And lastly, I want to say something too, is that the way that he handled himself throughout this, he never reacted. He just responded. He smiled at times. He made fun of people at times. He was sarcastic in little ways, but he never reacted to the greatest to a great amount to show that his emotions were going to be highly affected by this woman. I could tell that he never wanted to give her that, and this is where I commend him for doing that. Now, do I think that there is two roles to play in this situation? Of course. There's always two roles to play in any situation in a relationship. We can't just victimize one person. But the general topic and the general underlining take back from this whole thing is that, one, we have opened up the door to so many men speaking up, so many men being open about what they come come through and been through with suffering from abuse from women. And number two is also we open the door for men to be very aware of having standards for the women that they date. And that by far, my friend, I think is the most important thing ever. So I hope that this answers a lot of your questions that you guys have been asking for. I really, really am happy to hear you out in the comments. Let me know what your perception is and how maybe this case supported you or this video has supported you. And also if you ever need support, I'll put some links in the description box below where you can turn to get some support if you are going through any of these things that I've mentioned in this video. As always, remember you are always loved, and thanks for watching.